What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday, December 11th. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online. Sports Talk 1051.com. Stream it over there. Google and Alexa home devices, the Sports Talk app, and the video stream up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel over there for all the videos like Green and Gold Chalk Talk, which we'll have another episode coming up a little bit later on this morning and all that good stuff. But hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. What do we got on the docket for tonight or for today? Well, we got a game tonight. We got Monday Night Football. Packers taking on the Giants of New York. Not really New York, but you get it. But Packers have a chance to further distance themselves from those teams who are kind of chasing them now. Both the Rams and the Seahawks losing yesterday, which now Green Bay has a little bit of a shot. I should say a little bit of a shot. They do have a shot tonight to further create a bigger gap between those teams. Now, if Minnesota would have lost yesterday, it made things a little bit more interesting there, but nonetheless, Packers with a win would get to 7-6. Seattle and the Rams sitting there at 6-7. So, with tonight's game, they had the Raiders on Monday night too. I was like, is this the only one they have? We kind of forgot about that Raiders one, but with tonight's game, what are your keys to victory? What are your key matchups? Who is a player or players that have got to have a game tonight? And what are your predictions for tonight's contest? We got a couple Monday night games tonight, but we're obviously really focused on the Packers one coming up here tonight. So we'll break it down. We'll preview it. Look at it. Jair Alexander already ruled out. Was originally listed as questionable. And then he did talk to the media on Friday and such. But yesterday, the Packers already ruling him out for tonight's game. Being a little extra cautious, perhaps, maybe just to try to make sure that he can give it a go next week against Tampa and Mike Evans and such, but no Jair Alexander for tonight's game. We know that one for sure. So, but we'll see. Aaron Jones did return to practice a little bit here. Could we potentially see him out on the field? Matt LaFleur did say the turf would not have anything wouldn't have anything to in terms of deciding whether he would play tonight or not. But we know Christian Watson is out as well. Quay Walker probably out. He was listed as doubtful. But and then Aaron Jones and Darnell Savage and Eric Stokes all questionable. So Aaron Jones may be a little bit further ahead at this point in time, believe it or not. But we'll talk about it all coming up here in just a little bit. We've got lots to recap from the last couple of days here, man. So we got Badger volleyball back in the Final Four. They'll be taking on Texas Thursday with a chance to get back to the national championship, national title game where they could potentially face Nebraska again in another rematch there. Speaking of Badgers, Badger men's basketball team, they got dominated on Saturday. They lost to Arizona 98-73. 98-73. So that's a tough stretch of games for the Badger basketball team. Badger men's basketball team ends going 2-1. Now I know some will probably kind of look at that Michigan State game now that Nebraska beat Michigan State and be like, okay, well, how good really is Michigan State? Was that even a good win at this point in time? But I guess we'll kind of see as the season progresses to see if Michigan can rebound in that. But yeah, Michigan State's struggling right now. Michigan State's struggling a little bit here. So, But Bucks, speaking of hoops, Bucks falling in the in-season tournament, which happened late last week, Thursday. But they'll be back tonight, going up against the Chicago Bulls. Maybe a little bit of drama surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks, because it was reported after that loss to the Pacers in the in-season tournament after the game in the locker room. Apparently, Bobby Portis spoke up and kind of challenged out coaching and some of the players and all that sort of stuff. Bobby Portis told The Athletic, "Don't want to speak too much about what's happening in our locker room. What happens in our locker room is sacred between us. That's how it's always been." But he apparently, reportedly, kind of called out, lack of adjustments, the offensive side of things. But yeah, we maybe a little bit of drama brewing, a little bit. Confusion going on. I think this is what you probably kind of get with such super high expectations, and then maybe not going exactly the way it's going right now. So some frustration boiling over. But yeah, according to Bleacher Report, Bobby Portis passionately challenged Adrian Griffin and teammates to be better. To be better. Now, Portis had 4 points and 5 rebounds in 18 minutes of action in that game too. But yeah, that's kind of where the rumors and the rumblings are at this point in time with the Bucks team. But 15-7 overall season, going up against the Bulls tonight. Then they get a rematch against the Pacers on Wednesday at home. So the Bucks are going to be home here for a little bit with the Bulls game tonight. Pacers, Detroit, Houston, San Antonio, then Orlando. Then they go on a little bit of a road trip that includes, Christmas Day game against the Knicks and such. But hopefully, this Bucks team, nothing too dramatic will kind of pop up with it, and they can just take care of business and win some ball games and get to the postseason and win a championship there. So, what else do we got on the docket here? So we'll talk a little hoops. Baseball-wise, I mean, I think we all know the biggest story from the weekend. Shohei Ohtani, $700 million. $700 million for Ohtani, 10 years, going to the Dodgers. Now, there's a ton of deferred money. We got a new segment coming up on Wednesdays and such called The Business of Sports, which we'll kind of break that one down probably in a little bit more detail on Wednesday. But we'll still touch on it here for a little bit. But $700 million for Ohtani. But according to some reports out there, a ton of deferred money that will apparently still help the Dodgers and allow the Dodgers to, build a team, build a competitive team around him, still get some players and that sort of stuff. But holy moly, $700 million for Ohtani. We were wondering, even before he got hurt, what was that number going to be? What was it going to be? Was it going to be $60 million per year? The guy can't pitch for a year and still gets $70 million. Wow. So, but yeah, dude is set up for life right now. Let's be real here. He is set up for life with a ton of deferred money and all that too. So, but he just dominated his former teammate in the largest contract in baseball history. I mean, Mike Trout had it at $426.5 million. That second, he almost doubled it. I mean, man alive. $700 million. Wow. Yeah, I know there's some rumors or some reports out there said that unprecedented deferrals. The deferrals are primarily about allowing the team to be successful on the field. Because above all else, he wants to win. He wants to win, but he also wants to get paid. Let's be real with it. He wants to win. Yeah, I'll defer some money. I'll defer some of that. I'm still getting a big chunk. Still getting a big chunk right now. Keep paying me when I'm like 50, 55, 60. I'm good with that. But I'm all about winning. Boy. Oh, man. But, what's the latest surrounding the Brewers? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot out there. Although Adam McCulvey, I know, has a piece up on Brewers.com that maybe this potentially could be the week, or maybe any day now we could see some flurry of moves for the Brewers if history tells us anything at that point in time. It is Monday, so let's do a little studs and duds from the weekend. You can start to hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912. Your studs and duds from the weekend. But let's get things rolling. Let's get it humming here this morning. We got a game to talk about. We got a game to preview. Packers taking on the Giants tonight. Packers have a chance to get above 500 and increase slightly, but increase their lead for that final playoff spot or a playoff spot right now. They get that W tonight with Seattle losing yesterday, the Rams losing yesterday. Packers have a chance to maybe create a little bit of a gap. Can they do so? I've got a few more than just one, but there's one when I was thinking about some keys to victory and, key matchups and thinking about this game overall. One thing kind of stood out to me. Maybe one concern. That might be the best way to put it. One concern. And it's mostly something from the Green Bay side of things. I'll tell you what that is. But start sending me your predictions, your picks, your keys to victory, your key matchups, all that good stuff. First break, and then we'll get things going here on this Monday morning. The leadoff previewing Packers Giants tonight, Monday Night Football, coming up after these quick words. What's on the menu for Christmas dinner this year? You got a juicy ribeye steak planned up there, some ribs, maybe some chicken, whatever it may be, or maybe you're still looking for some ideas. Then you should make a visit to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. Since 1990, Mike's Star Market has been offering the best beef, lean pork, sausages, and brats, condiments, custom spice mixes, all handmade right in their store for the freshest flavor. And what's the holidays without some sweets? Mike's also has chocolates and a wide variety of freeze-dried candy. So visit our good friends, Mike's Star Market, 2238 Heimstead Road in Eau Claire. That's on the west side of Eau Claire over there. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? Let's get it started. Breaking down this Monday night matchup. Packers, Giants. The Packers have a shot to increase the gap a little bit in terms of the teams chasing them for a playoff spot. Seattle lost. The Rams lost. A Packers win would move them to 7-6. Could have almost taken over the Vikings if the Vikings, didn't score a whopping 3 points yesterday against the Raiders. But they got a chance yet. So Packers have a chance to increase that gap here just a little bit. Just a little bit here. But they did beat the Rams, so they have a tiebreaker against them and such. So, but how do the Packers get that win tonight? What's your key matchups? What's the keys to victory? When you look at this, the Giants here for a little bit, just to kind of give you a little bit of a scouting report on the New York Giants. Their offense stinks. Okay, just put it mildly. They stink on offense. They're coming off of a 10-7 victory against the Patriots. They're actually riding a 2-game winning streak right now. They put up 31 against the Commanders. And they got that 31-19 victory. But overall, their offense stinks. Daniel Jones, even when he was out there not putting up the numbers that he was last year, that garnered him a big-time contract in the offseason. So now we've got, a lot of people's new favorite backup quarterback, Tommy DeVito, who's played in 5 games, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Actually, a lot better numbers than what Daniel Jones was putting up, but still just averaging 139, just a skosh under 140 yards per game. You got Tyrod Taylor that has been practicing, activated, right? That practice window over there. But it's gonna be Tommy DeVito's show. It's gonna be a Tommy DeVito show. Brian Dable did make that announcement the other day that they will start Tommy DeVito. But I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if DeVito's really struggling, especially in the first half. Do they make a switch to Tyrod Taylor in the second half? I wouldn't completely throw it out the window. But back to the offensive standpoint, it stinks this year for the Giants. I mean, when you look at where they kind of rank in a lot of categories, they're either last or second to last or just right near the bottom. Total yards per game, dead last, 258.7. The second worst team is the Jets, 266.8. And you kind of wonder how much did Zach Wilson's passing performance yesterday affect that number. You want to break it down? Dead last in passing yards per game, 151.6. Rushing, Saquon Barkley over there, better. In fact, they're just right above Green Bay in terms of ranking. New York averaging 107 yards on the ground. Green Bay's behind them next in the pecking order at 104.9. But the Giants, they ain't scoring any points either. They're second worst in the entire league in points per game, 13.3. The only team Worse than them is the Patriots at 13. So defensively, with Wink Martindale and being the coordinator over there, not that much better. They're towards the bottom here too. 364.3 yards per game they are giving up. 364.3. They are allowing 228.3 through the air and are right next to Green Bay in terms of the most yardage given up on the ground. Green Bay is the third worst in the entire league, giving up 136.3. The Giants, fourth worst, 136.1. And points allowed per game, the Giants, well, that's been a big bugaboo. Green Bay's, the bend don't break. When you look at points given up per game, Green Bay's in the top half, giving up 20.3. And you look at the Giants, 24.3. Okay, so that's where some of the numbers are at with this Giants team. Offense stinks. Defense struggling in a lot of categories as well. You got a backup quarterback playing in this game again. Social media love for DeVito. He's riled up the fan base here a little bit. One of my biggest concerns heading into this game on the Packers side of things, though, don't let this turn into that Pittsburgh game that we saw a month ago. Don't let this game turn into that Pittsburgh game, meaning don't let the Giants and Saquon Barkley do whatever the heck they want to do on the ground against you. That Steelers game, that was that game too where you had some backup cornerbacks in, Carrington, Ballantyne, making their first starts and such. And you're thinking, okay, are the Steelers going to attack that? Kenny Pickett, is he going to attack that with George Pickens and Johnson and such? No, they didn't. What did the Steelers do? Ran the ball down their throats. They didn't care that Green Bay had a 7th-round rookie and a practice squad player starting at the cornerback spot. They didn't target that. They shoved the ball down their throat by running the football. So if I'm Green Bay and I'm Joe Barry and I'm looking at this game, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of looking at like, what the heck did we do wrong in that Steelers game? You let them run the ball. Don't let the Giants do what the Steelers did to you a month ago. There was a quarterback rating nugget that was floated out there after the game last Sunday night against the Chiefs. And apparently it's just a couple games worth, so not a huge sample size. But apparently Patrick Mahomes struggles going up against Joe Barry defenses. His lowest quarterback rating on average is against Joe Barry. That's a cool number. It's a cool statistic. It's a cool little nugget, right? So Joe Barry can try. He slows down a little bit some of the better quarterbacks in the game. The thing is, you can't play that same style of defense like you do against Patrick Mahomes than what you do against teams like the Giants tonight. Okay? Tommy DeVito is not Patrick Mahomes. You don't prepare the same way that you would against Patrick Mahomes when you're going up against Tommy DeVito. You just don't. And if you do, that's where Joe Barry gets in his funks, where people get incredibly frustrated with him. So yeah, 2 games. Patrick Mahomes, his lowest quarterback rating of any team he has faced multiple times in the NFL is against Joe Barry, 76.8. But you can't use that same style of defense when you go up against like the Steelers or the Giants. You just can't. So to me, that's what I'm genuinely curious and maybe a little concerned about tonight is what's the game plan defensively? You can't have the same game plan that you did last week. You can't have same game plan maybe against like the Chargers where you're trying to limit those quarterbacks. Make Tommy DeVito beat you. For crying out loud, make this kid go out there and try to throw the football around and beat you. Load up the boxes. Stop Quay. I was going to say Quay Walker, but Quay Walker's probably not playing tonight. Saquon Barkley. You know, you look at the numbers. Is Saquon Barkley putting up astronomical statistics and such? No. But you know what? Neither was the Steelers heading into that game either. You know, Saquon's got 697 rushing yards this year. 4.2 per carry. Played in 9 games. He's only averaging 77.4 yards per game on the ground. That should still be your number one primary focus tonight. Limiting Saquon Barkley, limiting the running game. Don't prepare the same way you would do against Mahomes and a passing quarterback. You can't. Make this kid beat you. Make him try to target Darius Slayton, Darren Waller, or whoever's going to be out there trying to catch some balls from him. That, to me, has got to be the number one key to victory, is to load up that box and stop Saquon Barkley. You cannot let a repeat performance from the Steelers, like the Steelers did just a month ago, where they ran the ball down their throats. Especially, you know, great, second half, a little bit better. Don't start the game off that way where you're just letting the Giants control the clock, control the line of scrimmage. Don't let them do that. Start it off right away by just focusing on stopping and running. Extra guys in the box. If that means you've got to put one of your corners on an island a few times, maybe a little bit more than you're comfortable with, you got to do it. Because the last thing that Green Bay needs, for a playoff push, the absolute last thing they need is to lose tonight's game against the Giants. They got some help yesterday. Green Bay did. In that playoff chase. They got that help. The absolute last thing they need right now is to lose this game against the freaking Giants. And it's going to start up front, of course, again. Can that Packers team, can that Packers defense stop the run? Can Joe Barry maybe get a little bit outside of his norm in terms of defensive styles and focus on stopping Saquon Barkley? Don't have a repeat performance from what we saw against the Steelers a month ago. You know, offensively for Green Bay, when I look at this thing, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Misdirection, running the football. I think there's an opportunity. If I were going based off my gut, and if I were a betting man, I don't think Aaron Jones is going to play tonight. I don't think he'll play tonight. So, you know, there's opportunities there for A.J. Dillon, again, to go out there. I think you still have to just keep going with the same game plan. Not, you know what I mean by game plan, not the same exact game plan, but keep doing what you've been doing the last couple of weeks. Little misdirections, confident throws from Jordan Love. Now him and Christian Watson the last couple of weeks, they were rolling, they were humming, they were connecting. There was something building there. It'll stink not to have them out there. But you know what? Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. It might be a game tonight for Dontavian Wicks. We may have that Dontavian Wicks game tonight. Malik Heath's probably going to get a few more snaps. But I look at a guy like Jaden Reed that we've seen him being a little bit more active in those jet sweeps and the running game, kind of using him as a Swiss Army tool, utilizing him in different ways. Maybe a little bit of a Tucker Kraft game tonight here too. But keep building that confidence. Keep doing what you're doing on offense the last couple of weeks here, putting the defense on the heels. I think that's one of the big things that Green Bay's offense has been doing these last couple of weeks is they've been putting the opposing defense on their heels, and they've been forcing their opponents to kind of chase them instead of Green Bay being the chaser, trying to make these comeback wins, trying to come out in the second half and try to play a little catch up. They've been the team that's come out punching instead of taking the hits. They've been coming out and laying the haymakers right away, scoring early on drives, scoring on their first drives, putting defenses on their heels, getting defenses to guess and be like, oh, all right, they're doing this. How do we do that? Well, now they're doing this. Really kind of getting deep into their call sheet. Continuing to be aggressive on the offensive side of things, I think, is going to be key for Green Bay too. Don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent. Be aggressive early on. Build that confidence right away within your offense. I think that has been so crucial and such a big key to Green Bay's success these last couple of weeks is that they've been building confidence early in these games. They've been a little aggressive early in these games, and that's led to some pretty darn good, solid offensive performances. We've seen it. I think they got to continue to do that. They got to go out there and continue to do that. And, again, the offensive line. When you look at Green Bay, one guy that they're going to have to really kind of focus on here is going to be Thibodeau, the linebacker from Oregon. Second-year guy. So far this year, he's got 11 sacks, got a couple forced fumbles. Where is he lined up? Where is he at? How is Wink Martindale going to employ him and get after the quarterback? To get after Jordan Love? Can the Packers, offensive line, communication up there, even Matt LaFleur game plan it, slow him down, take him out of that game. Don't let him wreak havoc in the backfield. Don't let him get after Jordan Love. Don't let him, knock him around a few times over there. The youngster can play. When you look at these numbers, defensive numbers from the Giants in sacks, they've got 21 total sacks, 11 of them coming from Thibodeau. It's a one-man wrecking crew over there. Limit him. Slow him down. Green Bay has done a good job. Against that, going back to Thanksgiving against the Lions, you really didn't hear Aiden Hutchinson's name a whole lot, right? They did a good job limiting him, limiting that defensive front from the Lions. Don't let Thibodeau just be a one-man wrecking crew, kind of like what Max Crosby's great. He's one of the best defensive players, but Max Crosby was having his way a couple months ago in the last Monday night game that we saw this team play in 2 months ago. Green Bay should win this game. I know it's any given Sunday, any given Monday at this point, but Green Bay is the better team. Green Bay is the better team. I feel like the only way, and maybe this is a little too cocky, too confident, too ego-ish, whatever, but to me, the only way Green Bay loses tonight's game is if Green Bay shoots themselves in the foot multiple times. If they're sloppy on offense, if they turn the ball over, if they get too cute on defense, and just don't do what everybody in the world probably knows what you should do on the defensive side, and that's stop the run. I feel like Green Bay loses this game is if they do it to themselves. No offense to the Giants. I'm sorry. But I just look at this matchup, and I know Giants, hey, they've won 2 games in a row here too. A little bit of a win streak here, just like Green Bay. But I look at this and how does, to me, Green Bay is the better team. And so much more to play for. They have an opportunity to widen that gap here a little bit. This is their game. This has got to be their game. And if they continue to play like they've done the last couple weeks, especially on the offensive side of things, Green Bay should come away with that W tonight. No doubt about it, they should come away with that W. But if they revert to what they were in November and October on the offensive side, and they start off slow and they dig themselves a hole and they don't focus on stopping the run, it could turn into one of those games that we saw in October, September, beginning part of November. Can definitely turn into one of those games quickly. Just keep doing what they've been doing these last couple of weeks on the offensive side. And Joe Barry, if you're listening, man, if you're listening, don't have the same game plan that you had going up against the Steelers. Okay? Just don't. Please don't. We know you got to stop the run. Make DeVito beat you through the air. Challenge him. Challenge him. And I'm bringing some pressure on him on third downs. If it's like a 3rd and 7, if it's a 3rd and 8, I'm telling 52 Rashawn Gary, go eat. Go feast on that guy. If you get him in those 3rd and long situations, go after him. Make him a little uncomfortable back there. Don't necessarily always drop extra guys in coverage and just have a 4-man pressure front. You get in those situations, let Rashawn Gary go out there and eat. Let him tee off. Let him go after. Let him rattle the cage a little bit. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll finish up the first hour. Plenty more to get to, but give me your predictions, all right? Hit us up with some texts, 715-830-1912. Prepare for the holidays with your local holiday headquarters, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking to prepare for a big holiday feast or looking to grab some party platters, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has everything you need to make your holiday get-togethers just a little extra special this year. And remember, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire is your headquarters as well for all your catering needs for those work Christmas parties. From a wide selection in their meat department, bakery goods as far as the eye can see, and a massive wine and spirits department, Hy-Vee has something for everyone. Plus, you can even get some Christmas shopping done with their new toy aisles and sports shop over there. Or maybe go grab a 4-pack of Man Cave Light, too. Get ready for the holidays with the help from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. You know, looking at because I mean, this is the final quarter of the season, right? I know the math doesn't add up evenly, but we're pretty much entering the final quarter of the season here. The final 5: Giants, Tampa, Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago here. And Green Bay has a hell of an opportunity in front of them. Can they take it? Can they take this opportunity? It's not just to clinch, or to get that final playoff spot, but looking a little bit ahead here. Green Bay, I hope, doesn't. We can do it. But it's not just a 7th spot. Green Bay's got a hell of an opportunity to maybe even move up to the 6th spot in the playoffs here because, Vikings squeaking by with a 3-0 victory over the Raiders yesterday. They've got the Bengals coming up on Saturday. And I know the Bengals don't have, Joe Burrow over there, but this Bengals team right now, they're playing a little bit better. I mean, they put up 34 yesterday against the Colts, and they're still in this thing. The AFC is, you got a bunch of teams over there with around 7-6 records. But Browning, a couple touchdowns for him, 275 yards passing yesterday. So what maybe kind of looked like I don't want to say comfortable, easy win, but maybe a win for the Vikings. And it got a little bit more difficult. Then they got 2 of their final 3 against the Lions. And right now the Lions losing yesterday to the Bears. Maybe that division getting a little bit closer. I still think the Lions have it. But you look at, this Viking schedule: Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions. Green Bay's got a shot to maybe even get up into that 3 spot. Or excuse me, that 6 spot where they would go up against the 3 seed. And I mean, that's difference of playing. Now everything's kind of wonky with the Cowboys with that big win last night against the Eagles over there, where the 49ers now are the 1 seed. And if the playoffs started today, Green Bay would be visiting Mike McCarthy and those Dallas Cowboys. But you're talking about a difference. You want to know what a difference of playing as a 7 seed versus a 6 seed? It could be the difference of either playing the 49ers or the Cowboys or the Eagles compared to playing the Lions in the first round of the postseason. That's the difference. And right now, with the way some teams are trending, you probably want to face the Lions. I know. We got 5 more games to go here. Ton of time to figure that all out. It'll sort itself out and such, but it's a heck of an opportunity right now for this team in front of them for this final quarter of the season. And if you're looking at it, and I'll tell you right now, I'm picking the Packers, which might be the kiss of death because, well, I've picked against them the last 3 weeks. I picked against them in the Chargers game. I picked against them against the Lions. I picked against them against Kansas City. So maybe I'm giving them the kiss of death here tonight. But you got the Giants. You've got Tampa Bay. You got Carolina. These next 3 games, and I know Tampa's coming off of a big win, and they're fighting for a postseason spot. If the playoffs started right now, they would actually win the NFC South. But this is a heck of an opportunity in front of this ball club that it looked like not that long ago, back in October, we're probably already, I think a lot of us thought in October, by the time we get to this point in time in the season, by the time we get into a little bit of mid-December here, we're probably talking about draft pick positioning. Where are they lining up in terms of, top 5, top 10, somewhere around there? And right now we're talking about, hey, could they actually move up to a 6 seed in the postseason. Now, I'm not really looking at division right now. I mean, because I think it's still the Lions to me. I mean, and plus they've got the Vikings a couple more times on there. Now, for what it's worth, the Lions have a little bit of a difficult schedule too. If you are a believer, or if you are thinking, hey, Green Bay could catch up to them, Lions have the Broncos this Saturday. Vikings visit the Cowboys. Be a big game for the Cowboys potentially if they still want to maybe get their division, maybe even get a 1 seed. And then they finish up the season against the Vikings. So I might have to have a little fun. What if the Lions were to lose? I'll have to do the playoff machine coming up here a little bit later on, see what how that would all transpire. What would have to happen for Green Bay to win the division? It shouldn't take a whole lot here, but I'll do that during the break and such. So I'll get to your text coming up just past the top of the hour, though. You can hit us up, 715-830-1912. Who do you think is going to have a game tonight? Give me a prediction for that. Who are you rolling with? What are your predictions for the game tonight? What are your keys to victory, your key matchups, all that good stuff? Give me your analysis with that quick text on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll get back to some Packers talk a little bit later on, but we got plenty to catch up on. Badger volleyball team advancing to the Final Four. They face Texas on Thursday. Badger men's basketball team, they fell to the number 1 team in the country, Arizona, and Arizona looked the part on Saturday. Bucks are back in action tonight. Is there a little bit of drama brewing between the Bucks and in that locker room? Well, I'll go over the latest rumors surrounding that, the latest reports over there too. Ohtani, $700 million man. Brewers fans, are you just are you good with him not going to the Cubs? You're like, all right, yep, Dodgers, whatever, fine. There you go. As long as it wasn't the Cubs. But man, $700 million. Can't even fathom that. Who would be like the next person to even surpass that? God, I don't even know. Like, see, I look at that Ohtani contract, and then I even like that Jackson Chourio move a little bit more. Because there's no way in HE double hockey sticks will I see the day, or a lot of us see the day, that the Brewers shell out a 10-year, $700 million contract to anybody. That'll never happen. At least I don't think that's what I would bet. I will never see that from a Brewers player. So if that's going to be the going rate for some of these players where, I don't know if a player is going to get $700 million anytime soon like Ohtani did, but if that's going to get $500 million contracts and that, I like the Jackson Chourio move even a little bit better now because I think that's going to have to be the way the Brewers try to be competitive in Major League Baseball. And I know there's going to be more clamoring for salary caps. Just it's not going to happen. So you can want it, you can request it, you can complain about it. It ain't happening. Players aren't going to vote for it. It's never going to happen if they didn't do it earlier. One in, we got a couple more to go. We'll be back after these updates. All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off this morning, this Monday morning of December 11th. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up, we'll get back to some more green and gold talk. We'll get to some of your texts coming up here in just a couple minutes. But give us your predictions, your keys to matchups, your key to victory for tonight's contest against the New York Giants. We've got some hoops to talk about. Badger hoops getting dominated by Arizona, the number one team in the country over the weekend. Bucks will be back in action tonight. Is there potentially, maybe, possibly a little bit of drama brewing inside that locker room for the Bucks right now? Hopefully not, but we'll give you the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding that team over there. Badger volleyball getting into the Final Four. They take on Texas on Thursday. If they win, they will face the winner between Pittsburgh or another rematch against Nebraska. So we'll hit that up. We got studs and duds. Who are your studs and duds? Play along with us. We'll get to those coming up next hour, but you can text us your picks for studs and duds. And then we'll get to those next hour. I believe we'll get JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director, WEAU 13 News. He'll be joining us, I believe, still at the bottom of the hour here. So we'll get the update on some of the latest stuff going on the prep side and the local side. So we'll talk to Justice hopefully in about 20 minutes or so. But let's do some sports nuggets of the day. Let's go with 1951. Joe DiMaggio announced his retirement from Major League Baseball. DiMaggio only played for the Yankees during his 13-year career. The Lakers in 1971 set a then NBA record with 21 consecutive wins. 1985, the single Super Bowl Shuffle by the Chicago Bears Shufflin' Crew was released. 1992, the NHL Governors named Gary Bettman as the first NHL commissioner in league history. Mario Lemieux in 2000, owner of the Penguins at that time, announced that he would end his 3-year plus retirement and become an active player again. When Lemieux returned, he officially became the first owner/player in NFL history. 2001, it was announced that Little League Baseball Incorporated will require more detailed documentation of the eligibility of its players. This was the Danny Almonte fiasco. Remember that? Well, he was found to be too old to play. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day for this Monday morning. Let's catch up on some messages here on the Shoe Doctors Bullpen texting line. We got Surveyor Sam here. I'm predicting a 2-touchdown night for A.J. Dillon and another score by Patrick Taylor. Carl Brooks gets a sack, and Rudy Ford gets the interception to seal the victory, 28-13. We got more picks. It looks like the majority of you, I'm not going to go through, but all of them here, but it looks like all of you going with the Packers tonight. Chris going Packers 30, Giants 10. Ooh, wow. We've got Nick going Packers 27, Giants 20. We've got Richard. He's saying key matchup will be something you already hit on, but if the Packers can stop the run, if the defense can stop the run and make DeVito uncomfortable, should be a easy W for the green and gold. Hashtag go pack go. All right. We'll get back to some more of those coming up a little bit later on, but you can hit us up 715-830-1912. Switch gears here just a skosh to the Bucks. So what's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks right now? Is there a little bit of drama, bro? We've been hearing some like rumors and rumblings. Is there something going on? Mostly geared towards players and their new first-year head coach, Adrian Griffin. I know Bill Simmons from the Ringer has kind of mentioned it a couple times. throughout the season. Chris Haynes, he's a senior NBA insider for TNT and Bleacher Report. Had a report out there that Bobby Portis, quote, passionately challenged Adrian Griffin and teammates to be better after Thursday's loss in the in-season tournament. Some of the stuff I'm going to bring up exactly what was kind of said here. So, according to Bleacher Report, Portis, Portis talked about, in the locker room. I guess Adrian Griffin was, talking about the need to win the rebounding, to crash the boards. The Bucks were out rebounding 51-46. So when Griffin entered the locker room and began harping on the importance of winning the rebound battle, Portis jumped in and stressed how essential it is for Adrian Griffin to structure the offense down the stretch of games, according to sources. As one of the leaders of the team, again, this is from Bleacher Report, Portis continued on voicing his concerns. Adrian Griffin welcomed the criticism and acknowledged he could do a better job being more aggressive with his play calling. The 9-year veteran explained that it's a two-way street. Direction is needed, and then it's up to players to execute. When asked about the report out there, Adrian Griffin said, "I won't comment on what was reported. Like I said, we're a passionate group. We hate to lose. We're a together group. I love coaching this group. We got nothing but winners and high character guys. And whatever internal dialogue happens in our locker room stays in our locker room. But we had a great, great practice today. Probably one of the best practices we've had. I love the vibe in the gym, great energy. And then we just get ready for Chicago." Bobby Portis, when he was asked, this is according to Eric Name from The Athletic, Bobby Portis, when he was asked about the report, Bobby Portis said, "Don't want to speak too much about what's happening in our locker room. What happens in our locker room is sacred between us. That's how it's always been. Don't know how it got reported, but at the same time, I'm just a competitor. I love to compete. I think I'm a leader. I lead by voice, and I lead by example as well. Just some things that I've grown over my career, and I know with my time here, been here 1,000+ days now, so the guys know me. The guys know who I am. They know I wear my heart on my sleeve. I compete at a high level on a day-to-day basis, whether shots are going in or not, whether I'm playing well or not. I'm here for the betterment of the team. So just being a leader, being a voice, and whoever else's opinions outside of our team, that's just their opinions about me or our team. I'm here for all the right reasons. Couple things here. Offensively, if this was all on the up and up, and Bobby Portis kind of questioning some of the offense down the stretch, I think this kind of goes back to maybe one of the big concerns we as Bucks fans had at the start of the season when Terry Stotts left the team a week before the start of the regular season. You bring in and that's where a lot of remember the pre-NBA poll by all the GMs too, and Terry Stotts was one of the top vote getters for best assistant coach out there. And when he was first hired, I think a lot of us, and this was even before Damian Lillard was aboard, but bringing him in to kind of be the quote unquote offensive coordinator, offensive coach, because Adrian Griffin was known as a defensive-minded head coach. He's a first-time head coach. Terry Stotts has a ton of experience being a head coach. A lot of people, a lot of us, when that first went down, it's like, that's a good hire. You got a first-year guy bringing in an established veteran coach, and then he's known for his offense while the new head guy, is defense. It just seems like a win-win. Then, of course, Dame gets to the team, and with all of his time, he played the majority of part of his career under Terry Stotts in Portland. It just seemed like another big win. And then all of a sudden, a week before the season starts, the Bucks' number one assistant coach, who's their offensive-minded head coach, leaves. And I think we all had a concern, maybe a question about, okay, is the offense going to suffer here a little bit? How is this Is there a little bit of concern now? You got a first-year head coach and loses his top assistant already. Was there something going on? Now, how's the offense going to look? How are in-game situations going to go now when you got a first-year head coach and not that veteran? And he's got veterans on his staff too and that, but not have a guy like Terry Stotts to kind of feed off or get some opinions of, especially in tight game situations at the end. I know that was one of the things I was kind of concerned about is like, okay, you get into these tight games at the end. It's kind of nice to have a guy who's been there before to maybe have as a sounding board. So we've heard other reports and rumors about, is there a little discord? Is there a little bit of frustration? A couple weeks into the season, we had heard that the defense or some of the players went to Adrian Griffin and asked to, adjust the defense a little bit. And then Brooke Lopez followed that up by having 7, 8, 9 blocks in a game. There's been some give and take already within the first quarter of this regular season, it seems like, between these players and this new coaching staff and a new head coach. And I think a lot of us assumed that there was probably going to be an adjustment, might be some close games, might be, some more losses, a little, maybe a little bit of a slow start to the season because there's going to be an adjustment period. And I'm sure some people are looking like this team is still 15-7, and I know Dame said before that that Pacers game, the quote where he said, "Hey, we're 15-6 and we're still trying to learn, to play with each other and still trying to learn our, tendencies and that sort of stuff." And he made that as a positive because he's like, we're 15-6 and we're still learning. We're going to be dangerous. And I'm sure some people are like, they're 15-7 and they're having issues right now. It's because the expectations are so incredibly high for the Bucks this year. So incredibly high. It's championship or bust. Mindset within the team, mindset within the players, coach staff, front office, ownership group. That's the base. So when little things aren't going right or when they're off to maybe some inconsistencies, because of that expectation, those players, a lot of those players have been there together for the last few years. Giannis, Portis, Middleton, Brooke, the main core of those guys, they've been there for a few years now. Okay? Those guys have won a championship together. They got that taste. Pat, I know he's been missing some time with the injury, but he's been there. Those core guys. So they know what it takes to get to a championship. They know the grind. They know the difficulties to get there to win the whole thing. But they know that's also the expectation for them. And so when there's a little bit that's going wrong, when you have that pressure, it's like, okay, it sometimes maybe it boils over a little bit. But having that goal, that singular goal and that expectation is championship or bust. And if there's a little bit of a crack or if there's a little bit of a down play, players are going to be frustrated. Coaches are going to be frustrated. Is it time to panic yet? I don't think so. I don't think there's a time to panic. But again, I know a lot of fans or maybe even basketball people kind of look at Christmas Day. That's when they start to pay a little bit more attention. That's kind of when they, maybe start to buy in here a little bit more too. Maybe when we get to January, if there's still like some rumblings and such, and I know Bill Simmons said it's just kind of weird. That was kind of his quote to summarize. He's like, the Giannis thing and the Adrian Griffin thing, it's kind of weird. And again, he knows more. He's got inside stuff, inside info and all that than what we do. But this is Giannis's pick too, right? This was Giannis's pick for a coach. Yeah, Bill Simmons' quote was, the Giannis thing is just weird. Simmons said, every time there's a timeout, he sits on for like 40 seconds. So, and we've heard that before from Simmons earlier this year about, is there a little bit of discord between Giannis and and his head coach. And I guess he also pointed out too that Giannis ignored Adrian Griffin after getting subbed out. What was it, a couple weeks ago? Giannis was arguing with Adrian Griffin because he didn't want to come out. It's different than what we've seen the last few years, under Mike Budenholzer and such. We really didn't have a whole lot of that talk. We had it once in a while, but I think Bill Simmons probably summed it up right. It's weird. It seems weird. And this is a guy that's seeing it in person. And, we're just kind of seeing it on TV or maybe you're going to a game and such, or you're reading it on the X/Twitter, Facebook, blogs, and that. It seems like a weird vibe. And maybe it's just simply for the fact that it's a new coaching staff. There's still an adjustment period. Maybe that's just the ever optimistic look on this thing. I don't know. It's still kind of new. It's still kind of raw. But are you concerned with what you're hearing coming out of Milwaukee right now? Are you concerned about what you're hearing coming out of this Bucks team? For me, maybe a little bit. I'm giving a little bit of a grace period. I'm not too overly concerned right now. But I think this is going to be a big next month coming up here. Because if we start to hear more about this and we start to maybe kind of see it now unfold in our eyes, because here's the thing, you know what's going to happen now? The more that we see this or hear about it, what are you going to do as a fan? You're going to pay more attention to it now, right? You're going to start to pay more attention to it. If you're watching the game, you're going to look for, okay, is Giannis ignoring his head coach is he high-fiving him? Is Damian Lillard, doing anything different? Because now that it's out there, what is it reminding you of a little bit? Yep, you're going to say it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Green Bay and all that. I'm not saying Giannis is that, but the fact that you're getting these reports and rumors out there, that is there a little bit of discord between the players and the coaching staff? What are you going to do as a fan now? You're going to pay more attention to it. When you're watching a game, you're going to be looking for that stuff. Did he ignore him there? How was his interaction there? How are the interaction amongst teammates? Now you're going to start to pay attention to that just a little bit more because you've heard about it. Because we've heard about it. We've heard these reports. We've heard these rumors now. And now we're going to nitpick every little thing because that's what we did in Green Bay. And that's what we do when we hear stuff like that. All right. But how concerned are you? Are you concerned at all? Not yet? Getting there? Oh, yeah. Definitely concerned. Where are you at? Hit me up with a text, all right? We're going to take a quick break, and then coming up, we'll have JC Nisi, Justice Cleveland, sports director, WEAU 13 News. We'll get back to some more Packers talk. Plus, we'll hit up what's going on locally. Looking for that perfect gift or stocking stuffer for someone special in your life? Well, it sounds like you need to make a stop at Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Whether you're looking for a gift card to put in someone's stocking or grabbing a bag of their freshly roasted coffee, Cabin Coffee has something for that coffee loving person in your life. Plus, they also have mugs and apparel for you to choose from. Along with the holidays, the temperatures are starting to drop a little bit here, so head on over to Cabin Coffee and grab yourself a warm beverage this season. Cabin Coffee in Altoona is located in the River Prairie area at 2922 Meadowlark Lane in Altoona. He's back with us in studio here, sports director extraordinaire, Mr. Justice Cleveland. Not in New York for tonight's game.
No, unfortunately. Couldn't get the Learjet going.
Yeah?
No.
Would you even want to go? Probably not. Yeah. Nah. We're going to get back to some more Packers talk here in just a little bit. But it's been a little bit since we maybe caught up on some of the local stuff with you here, JC. And I know, with the sports or prep season kind of underway, we got some holiday stuff. I know the big one was at North this past weekend. Was that the wrestling?
Oh yeah,
the big
Husky invite.
Husky invite. I know Brandon was kind of talking about that. I think he was over there too, but that's always a big event there too. And I know we mentioned him a couple weeks ago, but North with the first female wrestling team.
Yep. First tournament. They hosted their first ever.
Yep.
I think it was this past Tuesday. It was. So yeah.
Against Holman, I believe it was off the top of my head. Yeah. So, but we know that's always a big tournament over there with the Husky invite.
Yes, I believe it was their 60th too. So big event there, and that's just great to have. Around the holidays, December is just the time for holiday tournaments and stuff like that, and that's always been one of the big ones.
Absolutely. So that going on. We got hoops going on. BRC wise for boys and girls, who are some of the teams kind of maybe making some good early impressions in your opinion?
I mean, on the boys' side, you've got our Eau Claire Memorial right now is just off to a great start, undefeated, in first place in the Big Rivers, and Cooper Jesperson, I think, is averaging around 26 points a game.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's coming off. I believe it was a 29-point performance against Rice Lake this past Friday. So. Yeah, Memorial looks like they're going to be a really. I mean, they've been a tough team the last few years. So I right now, to me, they're the top on the boys' side. On the girls' side, things are a little more tight. I mean, Memorial's got a really talented team. Menominee, young but very phenomenal team. It was a team a couple of years ago that went to state, and I think they've kind of bounced back. Hudson's very talented as well. North's very talented. Chippewa Falls is growing as a team and starting to play a lot more competitive. And then Rice Lake has the Shepley sisters, who are both D1 talented athletes there, and they put up a fight. Memorial beat them last week, but Rice Lake put up a fight. So everybody in the BRC is pretty tough, but early on, I think it's Hudson and Memorial Hudson and Menominee that are probably the top two. Memorial's right there. Yeah. And they're a talented team, so that's going to be a fight, I think, for the rest of the season.
I think Menominee just beat my Medford team the other last week too. In Medford over there, but
my condolences.
Elsewhere too, we got Clover Belt Conference over there as well. Altoona boys, shout out Coach Hendricks. I know he's a listener over there too. I think they just defeated Fall Creek. Was it last week or maybe it was a couple weeks ago? Yeah, that was a while ago, I think. No, I'm getting mine mixed up.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not the expert. That's why you're the expert. They just
you don't think I get stuff mixed up? Trust me. When it's coming fast and furious at you right now.
It was Stanley Boyd, I believe, Altoona defeated a couple days ago. So.
You look at a lot of that, the Clover Belt and Altoona in the middle border now. But, I mean, I know Dominic Schwarzenberger for Bloomer just went over 1,000 points, as did Emily Cooper at McDonald for the McDonald girls. So
nice.
I'm getting some milestones. Jason Martsky for Fall Creek winning his 400th game as head coach. They got a few wins there between Storley and Martsky now, and those two basketball programs at Fall Creek.
Yeah, they do.
That's amazing what they both have done there. So it's longevity and just good coaching there. So yeah, I mean it's. You're still just kind of getting your bearings here when it comes to the basketball season. December is really because it's kind of a choppy schedule. You have Thanksgiving, then you kind of play some holiday tournaments. I know the Northwest Tip-Off Classic that was going on over at Stout. I know Brandon was over there on Saturday. If you want to get 8 basketball games in and on one day, these tip-off tournaments, Colfax had one for the women's side the week before. So we're in that time of season where you're going to get to see a lot of these teams showcased.
Absolutely. How about like on the we were talking a little bit earlier about, with North and that, but from the wrestling side of things, a lot of good wrestlers around this area.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, there's a ton. I know a lot of individual wrestlers in that too. But team wise, North, are they going to be up there? Boyceville always has is a program.
Ellsworth is another one.
Is a program
Menomony's usually has a phenomenal program. Chippewa Falls, I think, is back on the rise after kind of some down years for that program for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing the amount of talent wrestling wise that we have around here. Raw. Is that what it is? Regis Altoona Wrestling. Yes. Yeah. I get my acronyms for these co-ops a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that's another program that sent a few guys to state here. So, yeah, I mean, it obviously early in that season too, but I mean, a couple months here, we'll be talking about state down there at the Kohl Center, one of the, most attended events in state, for every year. So it's pretty cool.
And they do a good job with those championships too, right? With the lights off and the spotlights on them too.
The nice thing is like the schools individually now have become really good at, kind of showcasing this and getting that atmosphere there. I know North, a lot of times, they'll get the spotlight out and it's awesome. It's awesome for these athletes. And, we're speaking of wrestling last week, the Blue Golds.
Yeah,
getting the win over UW Whitewater to Vader has just done such a phenomenal job with that program. And they were down, I think, 14-3 or something like that and came back to get the victory there. And if you've seen the video from that at the McPhee there, I mean, it was as ruckus of a crowd as I think I've ever seen.
And it wasn't that long ago. They had just a handful of signups.
Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of it was just coming from the school. Whatever they could get to scrape together a program. And Faders came in and just turned everything around. They battle the best. He does not shy away from anybody, and they go out there and they compete, meet in and meet out. So yeah, it's been amazing to see that program rise the way it has.
Absolutely. Just really quick then, hockey wise, and I know your Pointers just beat the Blue Golds in overtime.
They're not my Pointers.
Well, you went to school.
I don't need anybody walking down the street throwing something at me.
Your former school defeated in the was it OT?
Yeah, I mean they were both really tough games. Yeah. I know they lost the Blue Golds lost on Friday in overtime and then went over to Point. I think it was 2-1 or something just a really another close game between those two. And that's how it is every time. Point just, somehow lately has just had the Blue Golds number, but that's not to take anything away from the Blue Golds and the performances they've had. This basically the first half of the season as we kind of go into a little holiday break before they get back on the ice in January. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Blue Golds are going to compete. I mean, Superior's up there too. So this is more about, we haven't had a three-way race as much lately.
Right.
But right now those three schools are battling and will continue to battle until the end. And again, thankfully we have an automatic bid now.
Yep.
So you have that in the WIAC, and tournaments are just usually crazy anyway. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that plays out. And then the women's team just keeps rolling.
Yeah, they do.
Got a win over Bethel last week. And yeah, I mean, they're sitting there ranked in the top 10, I believe, again. And them in River Falls, rinse and repeat. That's always a battle too. So yeah, I can't wait to see how a lot of this stuff ends up playing out when we get to the second half of the season.
Absolutely. And, I know it was a couple weeks ago, Brandon, on the prep side for hockey, like BRC, he was talking about Chippewa because they had a big win. I think it was against Hudson a couple weeks ago too, but it just seems like that one might be up in the air too with a lot of good competition.
Right. Hudson and Memorial, I believe it was, Memorial went into overtime, double overtime to decide their game last week. And I know Menominee got a big win over North.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of beating up everybody there in the BRC. Chippewa just keeps on, having some good performances. They're playing a lot of non-conference games right now. But yeah, I think we have North Chippewa this week coming up as well.
Man, that's going to be another good one.
Yeah. So I think this, I don't know if there's, Hudson's there.
Yeah.
But I think Chi-Hi's right there too. And Memorial and North aren't very far behind if they are at all. So that if you're talking about hockey conferences, it's probably one of the most competitive in the state.
Absolutely. And just to wrap it up too, back to basketball, but for the Blue Gold wise, men's team I know got that win last last week, was it?
Yeah, over Wartburg.
Wartburg, that's what it was. So they're on a little bit of a winning streak going on right
4
here
in a row.
Yeah. They've got Superior coming up on Wednesday, along with the women's team who are coming off of a loss. But both will be going up against Superior before the women's, and then they got one more team, University of Northwestern Minnesota, before they go down to Kentucky for their the Transylvania Holiday Classic.
I want to watch some basketball. One hoop, two hoops. Okay.
Thank you, Count. But the boys team 5-3 right now. Women's team 3-4, but that women's team's really young though too, right?
Yeah.
Because they lost a lot of seniors.
And a team that I think Tanya will have them take their lumps now because she knows they play tough. I'm talking about a team that plays a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Every year they're playing one of the toughest schedules in the country, and it usually pays dividends towards the end. And yeah, we've seen them kind of be streaky at times, but I think that team get conference play started is going to be a tough team no matter what, whoever's out there on the floor. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you lose 5 key seniors coming into this year. Obviously, it's going to be a transition, but I don't think Tanya would ever believe in a transition year or anything like that. She wants that team to be competitive, and I think they will be.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate that, JC, breaking down what's going on the local side of things here. Before we take a break, though, then we get back to some more green and gold talk with the Packers and Giants tonight. Ohtani, $700 million. What was the talk before the season started? Like, okay, would he get $600 million or something like that? And then he can't pitch for a year. It's like, oh, is that number going to go down? Nope.
No.
Not at all. $700 million. I do chuckle at the fact because he's got a lot of deferred money.
Right.
And one of the quotes in there was because, his main focus is to win. He's got a lot of deferred money so the Dodgers can still, spend and build around him because his main focus is to win. His main focus may be to win, but also at a price. I would love to get deferred money while I'm retired, 55 and still getting $10 million or whatever it's going to be. Did $700 million, though, did that come in higher than what you thought he was initially going to get?
I think so. I think the numbers being thrown around in the sports world are just insane at this point. But I think everybody probably thinks that.
Yeah.
When people were getting $10 million contracts in the 90s, people were probably just like, whoa.
Well, I remember when Favre got the 10-year, $100 million contract. It was like, geez, and now it's junk change.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I knew he was going to get a ton. And I think the fact that Toronto is actually in the consideration is almost a surprise because of just usually those things come down to Dodgers, Yankees, and you could throw in the Red Sox in there as well sometimes. But,
Cubbies sometimes.
Yeah. But the fact that it was the Dodgers being in there, you had to say probably 90-10 in your mind of like the percent chance of him going.
Yep.
Friday was when all the false reports came out about Toronto.
He was in Toronto.
Yeah, he's in the airport and in the Wild West world that is X or Twitter at this point when you don't know who's actually legit and who's not. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get. But when I heard that he went to the Dodgers, it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
It's just he's a generational talent. He's already got roots there in the Los Angeles area. So it just made sense for him, I'm sure. And
West Coast is closer to Japan and that too. So
the Asian population that is in California, I mean, this is going to be great for the Dodgers, period. I mean, this is as good as you can get for a setting for Shohei Ohtani. I think it's probably most comfortable he'll be in too. So I think it's everything that it works there is just perfect for Shohei Ohtani.
I also, after seeing that, now I don't know over the next player to get the next big contract. I don't know who that would be. I mean, he just annihilated Mike Trout's contract.
Right.
But when I see this, they're going to be bigger. To me, and maybe I'm overthinking it, it just makes me like the Jackson Cheerio contract a whole lot more because
pennies on the dollar.
I know, because now I feel like, I mean, okay, this has got to be the new way of business for the Brewers potentially, is to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's a little bit riskier, but if Jackson turns out to be that type of player they all think, it's going to be pennies on the dollar compared to some of these guys with their contracts out there.
Definitely. I mean, when you're, 10 or 8, what was it, 6 years, 80 million or 10 years, 80 million?
It could be up to 10 years. If he hits all of his incentives, it's still only like 140 million.
Right.
So you're talking 14 million a year if he hits everything.
Right. Oh, exactly. So, I mean, it's right now, if it pays off, you've hit the lottery.
Yeah.
If it doesn't pay off, I mean, unfortunately, I hate to put it this way because it's unfathomable money to us, but that's money that those teams can handle, almost eating that chunk of salary at this point.
Yeah, I feel like too, it's like I'm not going to see it in my lifetime the Brewers ever paying $700 million to a player.
No.
So to me now when I see that, it's like, okay, I kind of like that a little bit more because that might be the only way to stay competitive.
I just don't see anybody making more money than Ohtani for a while.
No.
Because, I mean, he is right now the guy who is the premier player in the league. Nothing against Mike Trout or Bryce Harper or anything like that. But Ohtani is just, his market value is insane.
Yeah.
Trout's probably the, best player all around.
And he's had some health issues, though.
Right. He's getting older. And no one's going to want to sign that huge contract.
Yep.
Ohtani's in the prime.
Yep.
And even if he doesn't pitch again, you're still getting one of the best hitters.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see that mark be approached unless somebody else just comes out and starts doing unfathomable things. I mean, obviously, Judge got his huge contract last year.
Yep.
But this is on a new level.
It is.
It's John Rahm money.
No kidding. Oh boy, that one came out of left field a little bit. I mean, you heard the rumors a little bit.
Right, once the rumors came out.
So I'm really confused. Let's hit this up right now because you're the golf guy. I mean, I like golf, but you pay attention to it more than I do these days. Is the merger off now? I mean, I thought this was the end of like so and so is going here. I thought they were all like kumbaya, holding hands, and now Rahm's going over there, and it's like back to before pre-merger. So I'm so confused what's going on right now.
I mean, I am too. I mean, anything I'm going to say is just pure speculation on my part from just watching it from the outside. But I think this was the PIF's shot at the bow of the PGA of let's get this moving.
Yeah.
We've been talking about June 6th was when this all came out, that they were going to do the merger. Nothing's moved since June 6th. And I think the PIF's like, okay, hey, let's get going on this, or we're just going to keep going, and you're not going to exist. We're going to keep – we can throw $600 million out there to more players. And I think them throwing it at Rahm was like, hey, it's a shot at the bow. It's like, let's get this moving, or we won't do it.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to litigate you into bankruptcy. We're just going to keep rating all your players. So if you want this to happen, it's got to happen. And I think a lot of this goes on to the PGA Tour itself for the way they lined up all these players, Rahm included. McIlroy is the one who everybody looks at as leading this war against Liv, and then blindsided them by announcing that they were merging. Like, none of those guys knew, from what it sounds like, that this was going to actually happen. So a lot of it's on Jay Monahan, I think. It's this. So you had Rahm sticking up for the PGA.
Yeah.
Staunchly probably giving up millions, $500 million to say, no, I don't need this. And then to have them just say, oh, no, now we're in cahoots with them. If I'm Rahm, as much as I don't like Liv and I hate the format, and there's nothing for me, particularly as a golf fan, to watch Liv golf, now he's probably like, well, if we're going to be on the same side at some point, why not take the $600 million and go do this? Because you heard Rory say, it's like, well, for the Ryder Cup, they're going to have to change now.
Yeah.
Like, when a guy like Rahm, 29 years old, going to be 29 years old in his prime, defending Masters champion, to go over there, if you want to have the best players in the world, and everything's going to have to change. So that December 31st deadline for whatever agreement they're supposed to have to, I think this was just like, let's get this moving. We've given you 6 months, and I think the PGA thought they had the upper hand.
Yeah.
And this was to show them, you do not have the upper hand, and we can do this all day. Like, they have no problem throwing money at these players, and there's going to be more.
Yeah.
If they want, they're talking about filling up Rahm's team. So, I mean, is it hypocritical what Rahm said? Oh, absolutely. Whereas every time one of these guys sign, they're doing the best for their family, which if I was making $600 million, that'd be the best for my family too. I get that, but it's always, we're growing the game. We want to. It's the same talking point. It's the exact same. I don't believe any of that. It's money speaking.
Because wasn't there a report when this all started that Liv players got talking points to say?
Yeah.
In the media session or something like that?
It was just like the weirdness of the Rahm announcing it on Fox.
Yeah.
Fox News.
Yep.
And then, like, he was on McAfee the next day wearing the Liv jacket.
Yep.
And the optics of it were just bizarre.
Right.
But money talks. And I think the PJ thought they still had maybe the upper hand in this.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the PIF, the Saudi Arabian PIF, saying,
nope.
No, we're basically holding the cards here. You can either agree to this or maybe not exist, which I hope doesn't happen because, again, as somebody who's been a huge fan of the PJ Tour, and I don't get why no one who wants to see team golf week in and week out.
Right.
I put that on Twitter. It's like, I can handle it every once in a while. And if it comes to the point where in the schedule, some of these events already, we saw like the Wells Fargo pulling their sponsor. What's going to end up, in my theory, happening is we're going to have regular PJ Tour schedule. Some of these events are going to get eliminated, these smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
And those will be the gaps where they'll likely put in the live events.
Mm-hmm.
And those will be filled in. I think that's what you got to do. If you're going to coexist, but then these live guys don't have to play the full thing. But at some point, it's got to come together for the good of the game. You can't just have these two rival leagues.
Right. I agree. We had the better weekend, Rahm or Ohtani, in terms of money right now. Jeez Louise.
Rahm probably because it's guaranteed. I'm sure.
That's true. Yeah, he's getting it all. So, all right, we got to take a quick break, and we'll finish up the second hour here. Back to some green and gold chat. Send us your picks and predictions and key matchups, keys to victory, all that fun stuff. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Just a few minutes left to the top of the hour, so we'll get to our Packers chat. We'll revisit it coming up next hour here. But shout out to all the viewers on our video stream over there too. I know it's because you want to see Justice's pretty
Oh,
face
boy.
right now. So, but big thanks for checking us out on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter over there. We got 4 minutes to the top coming up here. Don't forget studs and duds are due next hour. Maybe one of your studs. Badger volleyball back in the Final Four. Tampa Thursday. Don't think they haven't released the times yet. I looked this morning and I didn't see a time yet.
It's 8:30.
Is it 8:30?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. On, I believe it's in ESPN.
Okay. So
one of the ESPNs.
they're going up against Texas, and if they win that and move on, potentially could face Nebraska again, which
I
would
hope
be an
that
epic matchup again.
I mean, that would be one of those growth of the game kind of things you talk about. I mean, women's volleyball has just exploded, and it's so fun to watch. But if they can get those two teams again battling for a national title, hats off to the Big Ten.
If they could do that again, if it is Wisconsin and Nebraska, can we quick change venues to like Jerry's World or something like that? Because if Nebraska got 90-some thousand to show up for, you can
Lucas Oil.
Yeah,
like, is that
yeah. Can we move this to maybe a bigger one? Because I think they could probably fill it up.
Oh,
at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fun to see how it all plays out this weekend.
But so we got that coming up here in just a couple of days here too. So shout out to them. But Badger volleyball, well, they took 2 out of 3 in this big stretch. Although I'm sure some people, did I say Badger volleyball? Badger basketball.
I say I hope they took
Badger basketball. Men's, but they took 2 out of 3 in this stretch. I know some people are kind of wondering about, well, is that Michigan State win even a good win now that they just lost to Nebraska? Michigan State did, but still taking 2 out of 3. You get kind of plummeted by the number 1 team in the country. I think that's still a good week for Badger basketball.
It's been a great stretch for them. It showed the nation that Badger basketball is kind of now back. You know, beating Marquette and then having just quality win after quality win there for a stretch. Arizona was going to be tough on their home court. You know, that was kind of a real big test to just see where they were really at, and just couldn't hang with that offense.
It wasn't an Elite 8 matchup with Sam Decker on the court, so you probably knew it was going to happen.
So if anything, it's good to have a matchup like that early in the season, because now you know what you need to do later in the season when you run into a team like that. I mean, they did it against Marquette. Marquette's an offense that can go off and score, but Arizona just kind of, they didn't have the stall. They weren't able to slow them down really anytime during the game.
What was there? I saw the statistic. Like, I mean, it was just like 2-point shots within the paint, and that Arizona just dominated. Like they weren't missing.
When you fight a team that just playing as hot as they were in that game, it's gonna happen. And the Badgers started kind of relying more. Just couldn't hit some. It wasn't. Arizona's doing a good job. Don't get me wrong, but the Badgers, Store's going 4 for 13. You're starting to force things especially when you start falling behind like that. So to the credit, they really didn't shoot. They didn't try to rely on the 3 ball. They tried to move it in, and Arizona just did a good job of shutting it down. But nothing. I mean, Arizona's 8-0. Arizona's number 1 for a reason right now. So the Badgers sitting at 7-3 going into your 2 non-conference matchups this week that you should. It's the Badgers. I would never say guaranteed wins, but two games that you should get victories on, and then head towards the holidays. They're looking good, and they're going to be battling in that Big Ten. You already got the Big Ten win over that. You'd say what you want about Michigan State, but it's still a conference win.
I think right now, I know they're preseason 5, picked at 5. Purdue's probably going to win it, but top 2, top 3, I think they're in the running for that, and that comes into play when it gets to the Big Ten Conference tournament.
Right. I love when the Badgers are kind of looked over sometimes in the not that the conference is so huge that 5 is actually not bad anymore, but still, like they're more fun when they're almost like they're coming out of nowhere to be like this. Not that I think people in Wisconsin know that they had the talent on the team to do something.
Really quick too, shout out their young Blackwell freshman coming off the bench, 17 points. Between him and Store. These next couple of years are going to be fun with those 2 guys.
Right, and we're seeing a lot more depth with this Badger team than we've seen in years past.
All right, final hour on this game day Monday. Appreciate you all tuning in, wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Let's talk some football. We got Monday Night Football. Got a couple games coming up tonight. I know you're all pumped up to see the Dolphins and Titans in action
Who
tonight.
isn't?
I mean, come on now.
The Tannenhill Bowl?
That's right. The Tannenhill Bowl.
The Tannen Bowl?
The Tannen
I
Bowl.
like the Tannen Bowl.
Yeah, I like that. Also, we got Packers Giants.
Yeah, the little one.
DeVito, everybody's new favorite quarterback right now.
Is this the Lombardi Bowl? Since Lombardi was an assistant there.
Could be.
The Giants before coming over.
Yeah. Got plenty of history with the Giants, Packers, and Giants over the years. No doubt about it. Ben McAdoo Bowl.
That's true. There you
go. Packers playing in the house that Rodgers built. Aaron Rodgers, that would be, for 3 snaps.
Yes.
3 snaps over. I think Rodgers met up with any of his former teammates for maybe a little dinner last night or anything like that.
You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I know. I mean, the public stuff compared to what the private stuff is. How many of those guys were there, though? It's like offensively, there's a few and far between now. It seems. But
did he meet up with Jordan for a cocktail or anything like that?
Still text. So you never know. I don't want to. As much as Rodgers can bother me and other time, you got to imagine there's still got to be a little bit of interacting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Especially when it's not the opponent.
I do, not to rehash a Rodgers conversation from last Tuesday, but when he was on Pat's show, the one line I wish that we'll never know it unless he wrote a tell-all book. But he said this a couple times.
That could happen.
But when he did say, that he still has love for the organization, and the one line he said, there were things I wish I'd done differently. I'd be kind of curious to know what those were.
Yeah.
Maybe he's referring to like the last couple of years. Maybe he's like, yeah, I shouldn't have been as hard on the younger ones. Maybe I shouldn't have, been so critical of these moves. I don't know, but I'd be curious to know what he feels like he could have done better over there. But I also feel like he's setting this up too, so it's like, and he's being honest with it, so it's not like a Favre thing where it takes a long time to welcome Favre back whenever Rodgers' career is done.
There was so much, living through that. It was, you were walking on eggshells for a couple years until it finally ended up happening when they did the halftime presentation. And so, I think it'll be a little bit different. Again, time heals all wounds, and Rodgers will be back at Lambeau, and he'll get a giant cheer.
Well, let's hope it's not next year. So we need the Vikings to lose some games. Packers finish in second. That way the Jets have to, because if Jets and Packers both finish in third in their division, Jets come to Lambeau next year.
Oh yeah. Wow, you get the formula down.
Good job. Yeah. So we need Minnesota. You guys got to lose a couple more games here. I'm not ready for that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
It's not going to happen.
Don't say
That's how
that.
it works. It's look at what happened yesterday Vikings put up 3 points. Jerry Burns somewhere, God bless his soul, is watching that he had that 6-3 game where he went off on the tirade afterwards.
Yeah.
I guess this year's Vikings said, hold my beer, and they went out there and put up a 3-0 win. And is that the second we've had? What, a 6-0 win last week with the Patriots?
Yeah, the Patriots and Chargers won 6-0 over the Patriots.
For a league that's all about offense, isn't it insane the amount of bad offense we've seen this year?
The Giants' last win was the Patriots 10-7.
Yep.
So,
quarterback play has a lot to do with it. And when you don't have the right guys out there that you're planning on having, and we've started 50 some players, 51 probably, I'm sure is going to happen at some point here. Yeah. About Joe Flacco comes out, and that's an elite quarterback right there.
Elite.
Now
Flacco,
named the starter for the rest of the year.
How about that? I love how a guy is named a starter instantly after they win a game. It's like,
well, he started the game, so I hope so.
Start the rest of the year now after they won that one, and watch, he's probably going to have a poo-poo game the next week, and then conversations.
I don't know what it is, but Flacco to me just kind of reminds me of this generation's now Vinny Testaverde.
Yes.
Like they look almost similar at this point, going out there and both playing decent at what is, a more advanced stage for a quarterback at this point.
Jets fans probably wishing they would have kept Flacco at this point. But hey, I'm a believer. I think it's system. wise. I don't know if Flacco would have worked in Nathaniel Hackett, vice versa. And that's
Well,
saying more about Nathaniel Hackett's system than anything.
It's not looking good for Nathaniel Hackett.
I think
they got the win.
He's back next year, I think, though. You don't want to tee off A-Rod, whatever, So
yeah, unless he can find another.
You want to talk about people running the ship right now? It's numero 8 over there.
Hey, you know what? Alan Lazard's making $44 million.
Yeah, and he's feeling pretty good right now. Oh my goodness. Anyways, Packers though are playing in New York tonight. They got some help yesterday. Seahawks lost, Rams lost, Packers win tonight. That gap got a little bit wider between the teams chasing them. Heck, if Minnesota would have lost yesterday,
exactly,
really would have made things interesting at this point in time. But we're kind of in that final quarter of the season. You look at this game, you look at the numbers, you look at the matchups, it seems to favor Green Bay in a lot. My one concern I have is just a month ago, Pittsburgh. You had Kenny Pickett and you had the receivers over there, but going up against, at that point, Carrington Valentine was making, I think, his first or second start. Valentine was making his first start. You'd think any other team would go out there and just, try to target those corners. They ran the ball. To me, I'm just having flashbacks of Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, and it's not like the Giants don't have a top-tier running back in Saquon Barkley right there that can go off on a team. So, yeah, you got to be afraid of that. I mean, it's a Monday night game, so, they're going to be jazzed up out of the Giants. They're at home, so, that there are things that still – you can't just come over and expect to win.
Right, and because I mentioned this nugget earlier, and I'm sure you saw it too. Like Patrick Mahomes' quarterback rating against Joe Barry is his worst quarterback rating against any other defensive coordinator. It's just a couple games worth over there, but it's like 76 something or whatever it is. Yeah, 76.8. It's right here. But my concern is like, hey, that's great. That defense can slow down to Patrick Mahomes, but you can't play that same style of defense like you did against Pittsburgh, where it's like it's one thing to prepare for Mahomes, a little bit different than Kenny Pickett, where they just want to run That's my concern for tonight's game. Is like, okay, you're coming off that win against Mahomes, but Tommy DeVito is not a Patrick Mahomes.
No,
you can't play that same style, and that's where I'm getting concerned about because I feel like that's what they did against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And all they did was just run the ball down their throat, and they couldn't stop it until second half.
Yeah, if you're giving up that space at the line for them to kind of get those running gaps going to avoid like a scrambling quarterback or getting them, it's not going to work. Saquon will take those gaps, get 5-yard a gash, and next thing you know, they're scoring touchdowns, and you fall behind early, they can start slowing the game down. If you're the Giants, that's what you have to do. And that's what they've been doing when they're successful is low-scoring, hard-fought affairs. We've seen that all season with the team. So, we looked at that schedule and we're like, okay, it's Giants, it's Tampa, it's Carolina, it's Minnesota, Chicago. Well, Giants can hang with teams. We've seen that. Tampa, who knows what Tampa team's going to show up from week to week. They can be a tough team to play. Carolina, struggling. Minnesota, never. You're not going to know what you're going to get by week 17 with that team.
Now with Justin Jefferson, who had to go to the hospital yesterday with that chest injury, and they may be switching quarterbacks again too. So
and Chicago, we laugh about Chicago early, but Chicago is playing a lot better football right now than they've been playing the whole season.
Sorry, Bears fans, but Matt Eberflus might be back next year.
Right. So this isn't like everybody's like, oh, they're in the playoffs. It's like you still got to play these games because these are teams that can win. That you're playing against. These aren't teams that you're just going to walk over and push over. These are all going to be complicated, tough games to play. So, you started now with get the win tonight and keep it going, but there's in no way is any of this guaranteed.
Yeah. Are you any concern about Jair Alexander right now?
The fact that you had him talking like he was going to play the whole,
and the fact he was already ruled out yesterday, like he's listed as questionable. And then they come out and say, nope, he's not going to play.
I think they're being as cautious as they can be because they want him for a stretch run if they do make the playoffs or are battling these last few games. So I'm concerned, but I think they have been on the side of safety when it comes to these players. And even if it was Aaron Jones, his first injury, like he's like, oh, I'm ready. I could come back. And they're like, no, let's just get you to full health. And I think Watson was another one there. It's like, let's get you to full health because they need these guys if they want to have any expectations of making a run in the playoffs.
Right. Because I know he talked on, as you said, on Friday, and he was asked about playing hurt, and he said, I've done that a lot of times. I've done that a few times this year, but I think with what I got going on now, it's a little bit more tough. And I referring to that shoulder issue. And remember, it was a couple years ago where he had that shoulder injury where he hit Harris, Pittsburgh, the running back, and then ended up missing like the rest of the season. Came back for that playoff game against the 49ers and was on a snap count for that game. I don't know if it's the same shoulder or not, but you kind of, if it is, I got to imagine they got to be probably a little bit more cautious at this point. And maybe, you got Mike Evans coming to town next week too. I'd like Jair, going up against Mike Evans.
Yeah. When we were just talking about, the success for New York is going to involve the run.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're Jair Alexander, you're going to have to be in there trying to stop the run. And if you have a bad shoulder,
good point,
you're going to be jamming that in there as much as you can. You're going to need him to, or you're just going to have a gap where a guy's not able to tackle.
Yep.
And we've seen teams get to the second level against this Packers defenses at times. So that safeties or cornerback's going to have to step up there and make the stop. So I think they're looking at it like, okay, he's going to theoretically could re-injure it or aggravate it.
Yep.
Let's get it back to health and then, take on Tampa next week with Mike Evans.
That's a good point because, Tampa, Carolina, who the heck knows what's going on. Minnesota, assume Justin Jefferson's going to play. You probably want Jair, even though Addison had his way with Jefferson, in their first matchup, the rookie. But, I think it's a little bit more cautious at this point. I know there's some people saying Jair doesn't want to be in Green Bay. I'm like, now we're just really grasping at straws, I feel like, at this point.
Jair's his own personality.
Yeah.
Jair is a completely different guy, but marches to the beat of his own drum. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything of that saying he doesn't want to be in Green Bay.
Right. He literally just said, too, in that same session, I told you all, when he was referring to the Packers were going to win out. And he said, you got one of them wrong. He's like, but I'm at 80%. That's still pretty good. If that's a guy who didn't want to be there, he's not bringing that up.
Yeah.
He's not bringing up that stuff.
I think the fans have a tough time with somebody who's got a different personality like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means that he doesn't, he's not marching to the beat of everybody else's drum, not saying the same old. Jair will come out of left field with, like his interview this week, holding like the 2 title belts. Just, he is really a different guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's fun to have a personality like that. So do I think he doesn't want to be in Green Bay? I don't know for sure, but to me, it doesn't look like that's ever been the case in my mind.
I feel like to me personally, I'm not getting those vibes.
No,
I'm not getting that. So you're right. If anybody didn't see it, he's got like one of them was like a chain title belt or something like that. He's just having fun out there. So I don't think there's any drama or anything like that.
No, I think the Rasul Douglas stuff, you can look at that as a guy who I don't think he didn't want to be in Green Bay, but he was wearing his emotions, and they were, I think, afraid that could spread to other players, especially with the way they were at 2-5 at that point when they traded him. But again, I don't think Rasul Douglas had anything against the Packers. I think it was just one of those, this guy is just not feeling it or is frustrated. Let's move him just in case we don't want that to spread. So, with Jair, I don't get any sense of that.
Is tonight's game a game that, like, I get this feeling, and I know it's any given Sunday, Monday, whatever game they play. But I almost feel like tonight's game, the only way Green Bay loses is if Green Bay does it to themselves.
Right. It's like a trap game.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've been thinking in my head. It's like, this is one of those games where everybody's, just so confident coming off a win over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And having the streak going there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to come in and play.
Right.
Like, as long, it's a young team, and you just hope they don't put the cart in front of the horse there.
Right.
Just like they got to go out there and execute.
Continue to do what they've been doing on offense. I feel like a big part is they've been aggressive right away on offense, opening up the playbook a little bit more. To me, like, I feel like if they turn the ball over a bunch, if they're not, moving the ball down the field, or they're allowing Saquon Barkley to run all over the place, kind of reverting to what they were in October.
Yeah, I'll throw in the mental mistakes, the penalties that killed them for a lot of those games early on. Yeah, stuff like that coming back to haunt them. When I say, youth, not an excuse, but with a young team, that's the kind of things that could happen. So if they got to keep a tight ship.
Right. And this is, they're in a heck of a position right now, because with these 5 games, Green Bay's probably going to be favored for at least the next 3 tonight. Tampa,
depending on what they
Carolina,
do. I mean, the Minnesota one would be one because you're on the road. It might
right.
be, even.
Right. And again, it'll depend. I think Jefferson, does he play? Not. There's so many, deciding factors on it. And then, the way Chicago's playing right now, that game's going to be a little bit more interesting when at Lambeau there too. So, but I mean, this is going to be really. First of all, back in October, I don't think we'd be talking about playoff positioning at this point. We're probably talking about draft positioning.
Oh yeah,
we thought at this point in time, but here we are now with the chance for them to go to 7-6, but also gain more ground. And you look at the Vikings schedule coming up too. That Bengals game on Saturday. At first I was like, okay, that's probably advantage Minnesota, but the Bengals are playing better now.
Jake Browning,
34 points yesterday. Yep. So you got that. Then they play the Lions twice. So I'm like, okay, then of course the Packer game on there too.
And the Lions need those wins now.
Yeah,
it's come from that they're guaranteed to win the NFC North to it's a better battle now.
And I think the Lions have 2 Vikings games. Cowboys are on there too. And then the Bears they'd have to finish up with because of it's Packers. Bears. Who are the Lions?
I say speaking of just a little side note on the Cowboys there, big win for them last night.
Broncos. Lions play Broncos Saturday, and they're playing. Broncos are now just 1 back from the Chiefs for crying out loud.
I think I got to go back to my pool play for the first 5 games of the year, and then we stack the schedule. But I mean, like you look at the Cowboys now. Are they the top team in the NFC?
20 points. They've won. What was in 8 games? They've won by at least 20 points or more. The last couple teams to do that all went to the Super Bowl or lost. 96 Packers. It was the 2007 Patriots and the Greatest Show on Turf Rams.
Watching that game last night, they look really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, offensively, defensively, Dak's playing at a level that he hasn't played at probably in his whole career.
Hall of Fame head coach.
Yeah, people. I was just thinking about the drive over here. It's like McCarthy wins a Super Bowl with Dallas, 2 Super Bowls, 2 different teams. He's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
He's won how many division titles and how many been to the playoffs?
Especially
how many times?
If Dak wins MVP this year too, that's probably going to bode well. That Mike McCarthy turned Aaron Rodgers into an MVP. Turned Dak Prescott, who a lot of people questioned, into an MVP.
Managed Favre,
and got that 07 team.
Yeah,
I still feel like McCarthy should have won Coach of the Year that year.
Yeah,
I get it. Patriots are undefeated in that, but come on, that team for what you. That's another topic for another day. But hey, and then come on now, 3 days removed from an appendectomy.
Yep,
on the sidelines.
It's
Big Mike, man.
I think a lot of people I know were whatever your opinion was when he was left Green Bay was always all Aaron Rodgers, but he's got talent as a coach. We're seeing it. I mean, this is a guy who can coach, and I think he's getting a little more respect now after what kind of ended the tarnished. It was tarnished at the end of his Green Bay run.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely. So. I've always liked Big Mike, so
I've always never had an issue with him at all.
And I think maybe it was probably a good time for both.
It's like Andy Reid.
Yep.
Like he could have stayed in Philly forever, but it was a good time to leave, and now he's found success in Kansas City. And same with McCarthy, and
established himself as a Hall of Fame coach.
Yep.
And maybe Big Mike does that this year. Holy moly, that's gonna be a wild finish because I thought I saw too. Even if Dallas wins out. But the 49ers went out and the Eagles went out, Dallas would still be the 5th seed.
That's tie-breaking scenarios. I mean, if Philadelphia's a team I kind of would be worried. They're, just not looking as crisp as things looked earlier in the year.
But going back to the Packers in terms of playoff seeding too, why I think these next 5 games are so huge. You may not think there's a difference between being the 7th seed or the 6th seed. You're the 7th seed. You're playing one of those 3 teams we just mentioned.
Yeah.
You're a 6th seed. You're playing the Lions.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have? Not saying the Lions are bad, but which one would you rather have? I don't think
they're quite on that tier that, San Francisco, Eagles, or the Cowboys are at yet.
So that's where that 7 and 6 seed is kind of a big difference between the two.
The fact that we're going to have probably a team with either a 500 or no, there is no 500 records now, Justice. Under 500.
Well, you could have a tie, maybe.
Yeah, let's throw it in. But like coming out of the South.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's who you'd want to be matched up with.
Yeah.
As well.
Yep. if you then it's AFC South or NFC South. Congrats, you get to play either the Cowboys or the Eagles or the 49ers in your playoff matchup.
Whoever comes out of that in the next 5 weeks here.
Yep. Before I let you go, was Patrick Mahomes a little out of line last night with the whole?
Chiefs fans, stop trying to make excuses when you lose.
Yeah.
Like, the guy was clearly offsides. You could say, well, the ref's supposed to tell him to go back. Did he look at the ref? Most of the time you have to acknowledge the ref's not going to start screaming at you to get back on side. A lot of times you'll see the receiver looks down to the ref, then he'll move back to make sure. If you're just sitting there staring at the ball or not acknowledging, it's not the ref's job to get you back behind the ball. So in my mind, I think he was frustrated. I think it was an awesome play to watch, but when somebody's offsides, you can't just start letting that go.
And I know Walt Anderson, who's like the senior vice president, and Carl Jeffers, who was the official, did say after the game, no warning is required. The official doesn't have to. And it was kind of a little burn, maybe. I love this line. Like, they got a little spicy to it. Especially if they are lined up so far off sides where they're actually blocking the view of our ball, view of the ball.
That's how the other thing is he's 5 yards from the football. How does he not realize that he's standing?
Because I think somebody also made a point too. It's like they don't warn defensive players for lining up offsides.
I think it's Chiefs fans losing 2 in a row here, being worried. Now the league's against us. Again, I don't think the Kelsey interference should have been called at the end of the Packer game. It's a Hail Mary.
Yep.
That they don't call.
That to me bugged me how much they spent so much time talking about that one.
When there was obviously one that should have been called earlier in the play that wasn't called.
Right. And then, not to mention, the whole Patrick Mahomes did not get hit out of bounds.
I mean,
there was both sides to each of that one. That game in particular.
I guess Chief fans need a chip on their shoulder after all the success they've had. Don't let it come down to one play. You had a whole game to win. It's not just those one plays, and don't blame it on the refs.
Well, remember when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, Travis Kelce announced to the world nobody believed in them.
That's right.
As a 1 seed in the Super Bowl, still nobody believed in the Chiefs.
Them. No. just such scrappy underdogs every game they come into.
Easily a top 5 annoyance for me when teams say that.
Generational quarterback, best tight end, arguably could end up being ever.
Yep. No, nobody believed in them. No, nobody.
I mean, just watching the defense even self-destruct though, and just the frustration on the Chiefs sidelines. It's it's a team that they know they should be playing better than they are. It's not. You can't boil it down to just one player. They got to be playing better the whole game.
I don't understand, and maybe they'll say something different after watching it. But how Chiefs coaches and players can kind of still say no, that should criticize the officials. It's blatantly there.
Right.
It is blatantly
they don't call
there.
That ever. It's yes, they do.
I'm just I don't know how you can criticize that call when it's there. It's blatant.
Yeah, there's blatant video evidence. It wasn't even a board. Some of those Packers, remember they got called for those offsides?
Yeah.
I don't remember which game it was.
It was Runyon, I think.
Was it Pittsburgh? One of those, where those are right on the board.
Yeah.
He was clearly blocking the ball. Like you're a kid in the playground. You can't you look back and
exactly.
You have to be behind the ball.
Yeah.
It's not a hard.
When I saw somebody on Twitter say something like, it's bad when he's 5 yards ahead of Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, that's right.
the right tackle.
Yeah. And it's just I saw somebody else, he's lined up with the center. It's you can't be lined up.
Yeah.
In the neutral zone.
No, I agree with you. I think it was boiling over from last week and all the conversations, and even what was the story from Schefter that, that group, that particular Brad Allen's group, I think was the official, or under scrutiny for missed calls and all that. And it was so hyper-focused on the Chiefs' missed calls that they blatantly missed, that affected Green Bay there too. So
I think Mahomes, I get that you're frustrated after a game, but I feel like if he even went back and looked at that play, how do you not say, okay, that's blatantly offside?
I I'd love to hear what they have to say today.
It's not a great look for the Chiefs.
No.
Especially Mahomes.
No.
To go off like that. I know his teammates probably love it, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's him sticking up. But, again, it's...
Because if you haven't seen him, Mahomes went off on the sidelines.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, is he going after Nagy? Like, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell
you know.
where it was. Well, because you already had coaches, and players getting into it before that. So.
Yeah. So I was like, because I used to see a little bit of, like, Matt Nagy there, and I'm like, oh, okay, Matt Nagy. But then it was like a fit. I'm like, wow, okay. But, yeah, there's got to be a different tune, I would think, today, even from Andy Reid, who said it was embarrassing. Well, it's kind of embarrassing to be lined up that far in the neutral zone, dude.
Yeah.
Man. All right, prediction before I let you go.
I say like Packers 28-13.
28-13?
Yeah.
All right. Move to 7-6, and going to be as fun next 4 games. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, all right, dude. Appreciate it, man. Always good chatting with you, buddy.
Oh, it's been great.
Work on your game so you can get to the Live Tour. I hear they're shelling out some money right now. So,
throw a couple. I'll take 10% of what Ron's making if you want.
We'll take a quick break. We'll get back to some more of your picks coming up after these quick words. What's something that's practical, yet something that's really cool and something you really want for Christmas this year? I know it's that new floor in your home. So instead of adding something you don't really need on your Christmas list this year, just ask Santa for that one thing that you really want. And that's a brand new floor from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. From a top of the line carpets to gorgeous luxury vinyl planks, whatever style of flooring you're looking for, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire has just that. And let me tell you a little secret too. My sources have told me that the big guy himself, Santa, uses Carpet City Flooring Center for his own floors. The workshop, his home, you name it. Carpet City Flooring Center is incredibly popular in the North Pole. So go on over to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, take a look around at all the options and styles they have, and let Santa's elves, the staff at Carpet City Flooring Center, help you find that floor to add to your Christmas wish list this year. They'll even set you up with an install date and everything. Make Christmas just a little bit more magical with a new floor from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Well, it looks like the majority of you are going with the Packers tonight. We'll get to our picks and predicts segment coming up here in just a few minutes, brought to you by the Elbow Room. We got a couple games that we got to pick tonight for Monday Night Football with the Dolphins and the Titans also in action too. I stunk it up in picks this past weekend. I stunk it up. Man, you had the Bengals dominating the Colts, the Browns beating Jacksonville, the Jets dominating Houston for crying out loud, the Bears beating the Lions. So I haven't even looked at the standings for our Pick'em Challenge, and I don't even know if I want to because I stunk it up. Stunk it up. Before we get to our picks, though, we got a couple more keys to victory from some of you on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line with some text messages here. Mark is saying, as you guys have been saying all morning long, stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. Let the backup quarterback for the Giants try to beat you. Please, Joe Barry, don't overthink this. Continue the trend of playing some solid defense with another solid performance tonight. This one is from Benjamin. Benjamin is saying the key to victory or keys to victory for tonight's game is the Packers offense continuing to play incredibly well and the defense stopping the running attack and forcing some turnovers from their new quarterback. We got another key to victory, no name attached to this text, but saying time of possession and winning the turnover battle will be keys to victory for both of these ball clubs. But again, looks like a lot of you picking the Giants, which no big surprise, right? No big surprise over there. So let's do some picks, shall we? Shall we do some picks? Let's do some picks and predicts. Presented to you by the Elbow Room. The Elbow Room right now, if you're looking for your go-to sports bar to catch the games and having a great environment. When if you haven't been to the Elbow Room, you walk in, it's like a man cave itself with all the memorabilia on the walls over there. Fantastic place. Awesome customer service. So if you're looking for somewhere to grab a cold beverage like Man Cave Light, which they have available at the Elbow Room, and to watch the game, head on over to the Elbow Room right next to Banbury Place. So let's start off with the Monday night games. You've got the Tennessee and Miami. Let's do that one first, right? Because we want to keep Packers and Giants towards. We'll do the second one because I've got some NBA games I want to do on here too. So, Titans, Dolphins, big favorites in this game. The spread right now is at about 14, so 2 touchdowns worth, a couple extra points on there. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. The 14s, I don't know if I'm willing to go that high. A double-digit cover. Dolphins have the talent to do it, but I almost feel like they won't. It's just one of those weird feelings. Like I feel like it's a comfortable win for the Dolphins, but it's not going to be like a dominating win. So I think the Dolphins win by like 10, maybe even 12 or somewhere on there. So Dolphins win, but I don't think they cover the 14. but they still win by double digits. I don't know. This one's like the Dolphins should. They should do that. I almost feel like it's I don't know if coast is the right word to describe it. It's a comfortable win, maybe a little bit closer than what it should be. Packers Giants. Packers on the road favored by 6. The spread is at 6 right now for the Packers heading into New York. Packers win, and I think they cover. I do think the Packers will cover in this one. And I think they win. Let's go with a score of 23 to 23. I'm either 10 or 13. We'll just go 23-10. We'll go 23-10. Packers win. Packers cover as well. We've got some hoops action tonight as well. The Bucks are back in action, taking on the Chicago Bulls in Milwaukee, where the Bucks are 10-2. The spread for this game has the Bucks at 10.5. These two teams have played twice already this year. First game was back on November 13th. Bucks won 118 to 109. Bulls 120 to 113 in overtime victory. Now I think the Bucks will come out and respond. I think they'll come out with a W, but digit victory. Yeah, why not? Let's go with the Bucks double-digit victory. I feel like with all the talk that's going on right now with the Bucks about some drama maybe within the locker room, or the players and the head coach or the coaching staff maybe not seeing eye to eye right now, some issues going on. I feel like all that maybe kind of fuels this team and they jump out and they get the victory tonight. So I think the Bucks, they get the win, and I do think they cover. Oh, yeah, they'll cover that 10.5. They'll cover that 10.5. Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves are taking on the Pelicans. Pelicans just coming off their semifinals appearance in the play-in. See, I keep calling it play-in tournament. It's season in tournament here. But the Timberwolves 17-4 on the season. Pelicans 8-4 at home, 12-11 overall. Pelicans are favored by 3.5. That's the spread. Timberwolves 17-4, but they're 7-3 on the road. Not that bad. They're dynamite at home this year, but still pretty solid on the road. A lot of teams would take that winning percentage on the road. I know it's not a big sample size. Give me the T-Wolves tonight. T-Wolves win. I'm riding with that. I think they go in there and they pick up that W. T-Wolves, they're off to a fantastic start so far this season. Number 1 in the Western Conference by 3 games. The closest competitor to them is OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder, 3 games back. Minnesota, 9-1 in their last 10. They're riding a 6-game winning streak. They have the highest point differential in the Western Conference at 7.8. Yeah, give me the Timberwolves for tonight's game. I'm going to ride with them. So, other picks on here too. We're going to go. No, we don't really have any. No, we're going to stick with those 4. We'll stick with those 4. The 2 Monday night games, and then the Bucks and the Bucks and the T-Wolves. We're just talking about them. Timberwolves game over there. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. Wrap up today's program. Last call for your picks or predicts. Keys to victory. Key matchups for the game tonight. We'll hit it all up coming up after these quick words. with the colder temperatures and maybe some snow coming at some point this year, that means more shoveling, maybe more salting the driveways, and just that cold may give you some constant reminders of pain in your knee, your back, and your shoulders. While Santa can't help you with living a pain-free, healthier life, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine can. This winter season, stop dealing with the pain. Just visit cvosm.com to schedule an appointment, and the team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine will help you start to live that pain-free, healthier, and more enjoyable life. So this holiday season, ask Santa for that vacation or a new toy. Leave the pain healing to the experts at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Just saw Tom Pelissero, NFL Network insider, a little bit ago, say that Aaron Jones is not expected to play tonight against the Giants. Jones is working hard to get back. He's just not ready. So it will be the A.J. Dillon show again tonight. So I don't think anybody's really surprised by that, right? We already know Jair's out. Packers already declared him out. Jones not going to play. Quay Walker was already listed as doubtful. So you got 3 starters at least potentially missing a game tonight. So big night for A.J. Dillon. Again, I think Giants have kind of been like Green Bay in terms of allowing yards on the ground this year. They're right neck and neck. There's yards to be had. Now, I think what Green Bay and what Matt LaFleur has done a decent job of is not asking, in the last couple weeks. I think they did a poor job of this earlier in the season. But I think in the last couple weeks, they've done a good job of not asking A.J. Dillon to be Aaron Jones and to do Aaron Jones things. And what they've done now is incorporate Jaden Reed more on that misdirection, on those jet sweeps. That's helped a guy like A.J. Dillon, trying to utilize him the best way he can, win games. He's not going to be able to do, he's not a scat back, right? He's a bigger running back. He's a power back. He can't do the same things as an Aaron Jones can. So how do you fill that void? Well, you incorporate Jaden Reed a little bit more. And they've done that to try to keep the opposing defenses a little bit more honest. But there's going to be an opportunity to run the football. And I think with the emergence of what we have seen from Jordan Love and the receivers the last couple weeks, it's going to hurt to not have Christian Watson out there. Romeo Dobbs is going to have a bigger role. Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Dontavian Wicks, I think, is a guy that has an opportunity in front of him, maybe to make some more plays. But with the emergence of this passing game from the last couple of weeks here, from what we have seen from Jordan Love, I feel like now defenses have to prepare for that a little bit more. They can't have the mindset, necessarily the mindset to say, all right, we're going to load up, stop the run. Jordan, you got to beat us with your young receivers. Defenses have to kind of respect the pass game a little bit more from Green Bay, which opens up things in the shorter game, in the running game now. So I still believe tonight's game is a game that if Green Bay just takes care of their business, they do their thing, they don't have any mistakes, or they limit the mistakes, and they play the same kind of style that they've been playing the last couple of weeks here, this is a win. I feel like the way they lose tonight's game is if they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, in their own foot. Not to discredit the Giants or anything like that, or to overlook them. I just feel like the way Green Bay's been playing and with what they've got in front of them, an opportunity in front of them to increase their lead a little bit in terms of a playoff spot because of the Rams and the Seahawks losing yesterday afternoon. I feel like this is Green Bay's game to lose. So I don't want to be too confident. I don't want to, give the impression of overlooking the Giants or anything like that. I hate when teams do that. To me, this is a Green Bay win. This should be a Green Bay win, and you get into New York, get that win, get a little breathing room, continue to roll, keep this train rolling, keep this confidence going here. Because as we said a little bit earlier, right now may not seem like a big difference, but if you kind of want to start to talk about playoff positioning, I know we got 5 more games here for Green Bay, 4 for everybody else. But if you kind of want to start about playoff positioning, 7 versus a 6, that 6 looks a lot more appealing than a 7. It's not just because 6 comes before 7. Take a look at who you'd be playing potentially in the first round. And I know. Green Bay's not going to the Super Bowl. More than likely not going to the Super Bowl. So what does it matter if it's a first round exit, wild card exit, or a divisional round exit? What does it matter? I'm sure a lot of people say. I think it matters a little bit too. Growth. You still want to cheer for your team to do the best they can. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, if this team somehow goes to the postseason and wins a postseason game, your confidence is going to be flying high for next year, for crying out loud. And it's showing that these young guys can do it and they can get better yet. But if you're looking at that 7 seed, you're probably playing either the 49ers or the Eagles or the Cowboys. 6 seed, you're probably playing the Lions. Which matchup would you rather have? A lot of ball game left. We got a ways to go yet. But if they get the job done tonight, if the Packers win tonight, and they go to 7-6, you kind of start to look at that a little bit. All right. So we got that. Bucks also in action tonight. So it's a perfect night to have the football game on TV and then turn your radio dials to 105.1 FM and 790 AM to have the Bucks game on as they take on the Chicago Bulls. The Bucks looking to bounce back after their ouster from the in-season tournament against the Indiana Pacers last Thursday. So we'll see how they look after all the rumors and rumblings about their drama going around. I still feel like the Bucks got a W. So DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy them. Hopefully we're talking about 2 wins tomorrow, both for the Pack and the Bucks. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Appreciate you all texting in, tuning in, chiming in. Let's do it again tomorrow.